below is a short snippet from our deeper look of Surah Al-Ma'arij, which is now available to watch in full only on Bayyinah TV. Learn about this surah and many others in the deeper look section of the app.
The Prophet is then told, therefore, you can call this fa sababiyya, therefore, demonstrate beautiful sabr. I won't translate sabr yet. Demonstrate beautiful sabr. I want to tell you a little bit about the word sabr. I know we translate that as patience and perseverance and constancy and all of those things, but Arabic words that are abstract, patience is an abstract idea, it's associated with visual images. And I want to walk you through some of the visual images in the origin of the word sabr. The first of them is subra. Subra is a pile of seeds, or, kudsu ta'am, al-burr wa nahwuhu. If you have wheat or seeds or anything and they're piled up and you've got mounds of them, they're actually called a subra. Similarly, الطعام المنخول بشيء شبيه بالسرند يتكدس الطعام تحته وما جمع من الطعام بلا كيل ولا وزن بعضه فوق بعض. You know those things, I know we call them in Urdu, we call them a tali, I think. The Arabics call them ghirbal, right? You have this thing that you sift the rice through or the seeds through, and the rocks and the pebbles stay on top, and the pure stuff comes underneath. And you just make, you're not even weighing how much, you're just making piles and piles and piles of it. That's actually also called a subra. And subra is also al-hijara al-ghalidha al-mujtami'a. Back in the day, before the days of like cement blocks and construction in that way, people used to gather large rocks and just make a pile of them, and they're going to cut those up for using in construction, right? So those rocks, these giant piles of rocks that are being kind of storehoused or made a pile of next to the house or the shed, that's going to be used for construction. That was also called a subra. So you're noticing piles and piles and piles keeps coming up, doesn't it? Right? And layers upon layers. This is a little bit gross, but still, والصبر ما تلبد في الحوض من البول والسرقين والبعر. People who've been to a village, they know. And this is something I first saw in Pakistan, and I didn't know what it was. So in Pakistan, when I was a kid, we went on a train trip, and you go through a village, and this is mud houses, right? And the mud houses have these mud pancakes on the wall. Okay? You're like, what's that? Is that? So you find out that's actually animal, manure, and they make those animal poop cakes on the wall, and they use that to burn fires, and they use that for fertilizer. They use it for multiple purposes. Okay, so gives a new perspective to cooking. But but the fact that it's piled together is actually why it's also called a sabra. Similarly, another dimension of the word sabr is sabarun, with a fatha. Sabarun is al-jamad. It's actually frozen ice, or ice. Ice blocks are also called sabr in Arabic. Was-sibara simamul qarura. The lid of a bottle, the cork on a bottle that holds everything in is also called a sibara. So far we've got two kinds of themes: something piling up atop each other, and something that stays solid, or something that's contained, like the water is contained in the ice, or the materials contained inside the lid of the bottle. وَالصَّبِيرُ السَّحَابُ الْأَبْيَضُ الَّذِي يَصْبُرُ بَعْضُهُ فَوْقَ بَعْضٍ دَرَجًا. Clouds that pile on top of each other, they feel like they're climbing on top of each other, they're actually called sabir. And snow mountains are also called sabir, because the snow is piling on top. Right? So that's why they're called sabir also. Sabir mutakathif. So tarakumu shay, basically the overall meaning of the word sabr has to do with things that pile atop each other. أو تكتسه مع تزايده أو دوامه على حالته. So two elements that come out are things that are piled on top of each other, and things that remain solid, like ice, or things that remain contained, like the contents of a bottle that's been corked, that's been lit, that the lid is placed on it. Okay. Last one, wanabatu sabir. There's a plant called sabir. Some of you that are into plant stuff may know aloe or aloe vera. That plant is actually called sabir in Arabic, and it's a very bitter plant, even though it has many medicinal healing qualities. So it's great for skin, digestion, all kinds of stuff, but it tastes terrible. Another reason sabr is used for this word is because some of its leaves are they're hard leaves and they can go at an angle, and if it rains, the water can be contained in it as if it's almost like a bowl. So if somebody came by that plant and they were starving, they could actually drink pure water from it because it's containing it like a bowl. You understand? So another meaning of the word containing, وَثَبَاتُهُ فِيهِ. So anyway, so these are the visual sort of associations with the word sabr, and from it came the meaning that we now know, حَقِيقَتُهُ الثَّبَاتُ لِلْمُصِيبَةِ, that when someone remains firm no matter how hard things get, أو المشقة والتماسك والاستمرار فيما هو عليه, and when you keep doing what you're doing. So if you want to understand sabr, there's a negative sabr and a positive sabr. To make it super simple for all of you. Negative sabr, positive sabr. Negative sabr is bad things are happening to you and you're taking it, right? For example, somebody's being tortured and they're not going to cry or they're not going to scream. They're demonstrating a kind of sabr. They're tolerating. So sabr can actually have the meaning of tolerance. So tolerate, withstand, right? Patiently withstand. That's negative sabr. Positive sabr is, I want you to imagine that you are going on, let me not give you the ancient Arab example of traveling in the desert. Let me just put you on a treadmill. You're on a treadmill, you're running out of breath, you still got 10 minutes left, you have the option of slowing down or decreasing the incline, right? Or holding on to the I'm a handicap bar. But you don't do it, you still just keep going, don't give up. Just keep pushing, just keep pushing, just keep pushing. You are demonstrating what? Sabr. Sabr is a kind of grit, a kind of toughness. It's a kind of, I'm gonna push past my pain, I'm gonna push past my threshold, and I'm going to get to the other side, So every Rocky film was about sabr. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. You guys don't know about that. People in Michigan watch movies. You guys don't. In Ohio, you're religious people. You don't watch movies. Okay. وكل ما في القرآن من هذا التركيب فهو بمعنى الثبات عند الشدة أو المجاهدة. So all the expressions in the Quran are about that, about dealing with tough circumstances and powering through those tough circumstances, right? As a verb, it was also used for a kind of punishment. When you starve your animal, you say sabartu dabba, habastuha bila alf. When you keep your animal from eating, you're making it experience sabr, actually. So sabr is, now this word is being given to the Prophet ﷺ in this context. A day is coming where the angels are going to ascend to Allah along with the ruh, the count of which is 50,000 years. Therefore, you have sabr. What's the connection between that and you have sabr? Like you could say, okay, they're making fun of you, they're attacking you, they're trying to dismantle Islam, but regardless, you should have sabr. Or Allah's support is with you, therefore you should have sabr. But Allah is saying, the angels are going to be called for a day that will be 50,000 years long. In other words, the day of judgment is well planned, and this questioning of theirs, that will punishment happen or not, will change. None of that will change the fact of it. Therefore, you carry on doing what you're doing. This ayah, I would argue, is not about the Prophet ﷺ tolerating their nonsense. He's not being told to demonstrate negative sabr. What's negative sabr? I'm tolerating, right? Forget about tolerating. The Prophet ﷺ is being told, persevere, you have a mission in front of you, keep going. Don't even bother with this distraction. This is similar to dharhum. Just leave them. Dharhum is almost an a'rid anhum. Just ignore them. And on the one hand, you're ignoring the negative, but you have something so much more important to work on that you don't have time to focus on their nonsense. This is a mindset ayah in the Quran. And it's telling us the mindset that the Prophet ﷺ was being given from Allah. And that mindset was, you have such an important mission in front of you that people that are going to make comments at you about your work and about your mission and about your objective, those comments are so irrelevant that I'm telling you, I've already assigned angels to deal with that problem. So it's off your plate. You just worry about your mission. Don't get distracted. Don't get distracted. Star athletes, performers, boxers, fighters, marathon runners, etc., etc. You know what can truly demoralize them? Reading comments about their last performance. If they start reading even if they won the match, and somebody says, that was bogus, he didn't win. That was an illegal punch. The ref was paid off. This guy doesn't deserve it, etc. What's happening when they read these comments? They're losing momentum, they're losing focus, they're losing steam, they're getting upset. Their emotions are scattered, right? Now my emotional capacity as a person, my ability to focus on something is a limited resource. If you think of the brain as a resource and my mind as a resource, it's a limited resource. And the more distractions come in, the more I'm spending that resource on other things, so I have less of that fuel left for my focus. You understand? So even though the surah began, they're asking about a punishment. They're asking, and Allah says, okay, I'll answer you about the punishment. You don't worry about that. You focus. فَاصْبِرْ صَبْرًا جَمِيلًا. And I haven't even gotten to the word Jameel yet, but I'm trying to get across to you the concept of grit and how the words, the critical words of others, the dismissal of people who don't matter, the dismissal and the rejection and the mocking and the ridicule and the criticism of people who don't matter, they cannot have any space in your life if you have a real mission. If you have a real mission. Now, if you don't have a real mission, then your entire mission is just looking at what other people are saying, which describes a lot of humanity nowadays, isn't it? So much of our energy is focused on what are people saying, what are people going to say, what are the comments like, who liked it, who didn't like it. People's entire objective in the day becomes, I just took a selfie, I went through 18 different filters to find out which filter is most likely to get me some appreciation, and they post up this pathetic photo of themselves, and they're waiting for the mashallah, or the heart, or the, which color heart? Why was there a black heart? I thought there would be pink hearts. Why was it, This is the highest objective. If that's your objective, then this is not for you. These ayat are not for you. These ayat are for the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who's been given an objective in his life, and that objective is far too important for this noise to get in the way. That's just noise. And that noise is not a crime against the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That noise is a crime against Allah, and Allah will deal with that crime himself. So sa'ala sa'ilun, and that's why you could even argue that the people who were mocking the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they were the elites. Like I keep saying, they were the elites, but they were just called sa'il. Some guy who asked the question, like they're not even some dude. Who are you calling some dude? Right? Like they're just made irrelevant. They're made irrelevant in the way that the Quran speaks about this and then goes to its subject. The thing that is a reminder for all of humanity is لِلْكَافِرِينَ لَيْسَ لَهُ دَافِعٌ مِنَ اللَّهِ ذِي الْمَعَارِجِ تَعْرُجُ الْمَلَائِكَةُ وَالرُّوحُ إِلَيْهِ فِي يَوْمٍ كَانَ مِقْدَارُهُ 50 أَلْفَ سَنَةٍ. None of this is answering their question. This is not proving that Judgment Day is coming. These ayat do not prove that Judgment Day is coming. These ayat are talking about Judgment Day as a matter of fact, as a matter that I don't have to prove to you. Deal with it. Or don't deal with it, your problem. My messenger has more important things to do. Alayhi salatu wasalam. So فَاصْبِرْ صَبْرًا جَمِيلًا. Okay, now let's talk a little bit about Jameel. I won't give you the long etymology of it, but basically Jameel in Arabic has to do with sturdy physique. So a strong-bodied animal is also called Jamal or Jamala. Unfortunately, I don't know how, but in the classical Arabic dictionary, overweight women keep coming up. I don't know why, but they keep coming up. So Jamul is the Arabic word for imra'atun samina. So it's mashallah lady is called a imra'a samina or Jamul. Please, now I know for some of you, you will learn no Arabic vocabulary, but Jamul you wrote down. Like, I'm going to use this. I'm going to text my sister right now. Hey, Jamul. Like, a python or a thick, snake is actually called a jamin. A thick rope is called a jummal. The whale is called jamalul bahr. Right? The whale is called jamalul bahr. So the word has to do with just density, right? And from it came the idea that things that are strong or dense are actually beautiful. So the Arabs associated beauty with strength, actually. And that's why the word Jameel in its core meaning actually has to do with strength. And from it comes beauty, right? So they find beauty, and so you get al-husnul kathir, great beauty. Jamalun yukhassu يخص الإنسان في نفسه أو بدنه أو فعله. So it could be that something that characterizes a person in their personality, their body, or their actions. That would be Jameel. But what is the word fasbir, sabran, jamilan doing here? I talked to you about sabr in its passive meaning. I've already talked to you about sabr in its active meaning. Now let's talk about the qualification. Sabr, that is what? Jameel, like this added quality. Sabran, jamila. What does that mean? When you're going through difficulty, but you're going through difficulty with a smile, right? You're going through hardship, but it's not showing on your face. It's not showing on your face. What does that do to your opponent? It messes them up. It messes them up big time. You know, I'm not very good at ping pong, but I travel to different communities and I play ping pong. I take my ping pong paddle with me. And especially when I know there's someone much better than me playing, you know what I do? I start complimenting them every time they make a shot. That was really good. That was a really good serve. That was really good. And you know what happens to them? They start, is he playing with me? Oh, he's not serious yet. I'm playing the best game of my life, by the way. But he doesn't know that. So I'm just going to play this psychological war and say, oh, that's pretty good. That's really good. And he's like, I got to try something else because he's probably going to destroy that one the next time, right? What I'm trying to playfully say is I'm demonstrating some form of sabrun jameel. I'm the one getting beat, but I don't look like it. I have a big old smile on my face. I'm not giving him the satisfaction of winning psychologically while he's already winning on the scorecard, right? Now, this idea, the Prophet ﷺ is being told, don't give your enemies the satisfaction of knowing that they got to you. Don't let the sadness come on your face or the disturbance come on your face. The Prophet ﷺ was, kathirul basma, he was always smiling, composed, calm, easy to speak with. But obviously when somebody gets upset, their personality changes. You might be the funniest person in the room, but if you're upset, you're not the same person. You become a different person. The Prophet ﷺ is being told to demonstrate a kind of sabr that doesn't give his enemies the satisfaction. But there's another dimension. What about his followers? His followers get all of their optimism, all of their hope, all of their inspiration. Where do they get it from? From being around him. When they see him feel defeated, angry, upset, anxious, depressed, sad, what is that going to do to his followers? It's going to demoralize them. It's going to break their spirit. Your mood as a leader, the way you show your mood as a leader, sabr is not enough for you. It has to be sabr jameel. It has to be sabr jameel. Because on the one hand, this will send a message to your enemies that they cannot get to you. They can't break you. And it will send a message to your followers that they must maintain hope. Right? So it's both sides that are covered. And this is why Sabr and Jameel only comes for the prophets. It only came for Yaqub alayhi salam, and it came for Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So the only other time it's mentioned is Surah Yusuf, for Sabr and Jameel, 2 times. And then here, Fasbir Sabran Jamila. Right? So now just one more thing about Sabr actually, I'll tell you in the next ayah, but the word Jameel comes in the Quran in a couple of places as a description of certain actions. So Allah says in Surah Al-Muzammil, as part of the sequence of these surahs also, وَاصْبِرْ عَلَى مَا يَقُولُونَ وَهْجُرْهُمْ هَجْرًا جَمِيلًا. Be patient over whatever they say. Take it patiently. Keep persevering. Don't let that distract you. And then he says, and walk away from them in a beautiful way. وَهْجُرْهُمْ هَجْرًا جَمِيلًا. What does it mean, walk away from them in a beautiful way? Walking away beautifully means there's one thing that you can walk away huffing and puffing. You can walk away in tears. You can walk away with your head down. You can walk away looking like you got intimidated, right? And it's another that you walk away a victor. You walk away, we'll speak another time, and nothing impacted you. Doesn't matter what they say. This is what so again, not giving them the satisfaction of knowing that they won in any way. Don't give them that. So this word Jamila is also used for in cases of divorce. First for the divorce, if the Prophet were to divorce someone, and then later on for the believers to divorce. Allah says, let them go in a beautiful way. Let them go in, obviously, because these situations are ugly, and that's when you need an extra dose of beauty, right? So the departure needs to be made beautiful in the spirit of the Quran. By the way, it's something I did mention to you. I think it's coming in the next slide. Jameel by definition is ugly, or sabr by definition is in an ugly situation rather. You don't need sabr when you're in a good time. You need sabr when you're having a hard time. The reality is ugly. Somebody's saying ugly words to you. Somebody's giving you, they're treating you in an ugly way. You find yourself in an ugly situation. You're surrounded by ugliness, and that's when you require sabr. And the word sabrun jameel, it's almost as if Allah is teaching the Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam that even though you're experiencing this ugliness, you must learn to find beauty in sabr. So when the world is ugly, the only thing beautiful left is sabr. Now that sounds hard to understand, but let me give you an analogy, especially the guys here that go to the gym will understand. When you have to push a weight that you were never able to push, you're halfway there and you're just, and your friends are like, come on. That come on, you know what that is? Fasbir. Fasbir. And once you push through, you're able to push through, isn't there a euphoric sense of accomplishment? Isn't there a joy in that pain? Isn't there a pleasure in overcoming the obstacle? Isn't it? Like the joy of winning an easy match is different. But the joy of winning a really tough match, a really tough game, that's a different kind of high, isn't it? It has a beauty on its own. And once you get used to that beauty, now people are like, why do you put yourself through this pain? Why do you go through this difficulty? Why do you go through this hard training? You don't know the endorphins that it releases, man, the happy hormones. I feel so good after exhausting myself, after crushing it, after working so hard. There's a sense, there's an inner sense. And that, just like that in the physical world, Allah created that in the spiritual sense. When you and I develop, we find comfort in sabr. We find joy in sabr itself, right? Now, this leads me to another reality, and that is there's a lot of conversation about vulnerability in popular discourse on social media. You know, men are being told they need to be more vulnerable to their families, et cetera, right? And then people are getting on their cameras and they're like, guys, I'm just going to be vulnerable with you. I'm going through a lot right now, and I just want the internet to just care for me because no one cares, etc. Right? And people actually have stationary cameras now so they can record themselves crying, right? And I wanted to help you understand something about Sabr and Jameel. On the one hand, we are supposed to be vulnerable or be open with our loved ones. But that doesn't mean that you cry about everything to everyone or even your loved ones. The concept of Sabr Jameel is whatever you can handle to the best of your ability, you handle it like a champ. You take it. You take it. You don't stop at every pain point and say, you know what happened today? I just feel, imagine a boxer who doesn't have Sabr Jameel. Every time he gets punched, even in a sparring, you're like, I need to talk to my dad about this. Dad, he got me in the side of my face, and should I go back? I feel like I need to talk to someone about this. Take it. Toughen up. Toughen up. There are some moments in life where despite all of your sabr, you need to talk to someone. But you know what we've done? I need to talk to someone as our go-to, our entire personality. And you know what that does? It kills your relationship with Allah, because you don't turn to Allah to talk to, you turn to everybody else to talk to. You turn to your profile to talk to. You turn to whoever you're going to text message to talk to. They've become your spiritual outlet. We've replaced spirituality with our version of psychology. That's what we've done. Yes, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam commanded the Sahaba to shave their heads after slaughtering slaughtered the animal, and they didn't do it. Nobody listened. For the first time in his life, the Sahaba didn't listen. He said it 3 times. They didn't listen. And in that moment, he needed to talk to someone. And he goes back and he speaks to our mother, Salama, and he speaks to her. That's a pivotal moment in his life. But do you think that every day when he has to hear these things from the kuffar, that he's going and having a I need a moment to talk to someone about this? No. Even the pivotal example of Sabrun Jameel in the Quran, which is Yaqub alayhi salam, in the Quran, he was crying, but who was he crying to? He was crying to Allah. And it seems from, if you read the ayat carefully, it seems when he was crying to Allah, Ya Asafa ala Yusuf and all of it, whatever he was saying, he was pretty confident nobody can hear him. He was confident that nobody can hear him. But his sons heard him. And they said, أنت في ضلالك القديم, you're still lost on the same. تفتأ تذكر يوسف حتى تكون حرضا. You're going to keep mentioning Yusuf until you die and kill yourself. And what did he say to them in response? Oh my God, you heard me? No, this wasn't for you. إنما أشكو بثي وحزني إلى الله. إنما. I was only talking to Allah. I don't want you to hear that stuff even. Like his normal is not to let anybody else even know. That's why it's Sabr Jameel. That's why Ibn Abbas's tafsir of Sabr Jameel is only Allah knows and nobody else even finds out. Other early scholars said Sabr Jameel is you're in pain, going through something difficult, and the person next to you will never know that you're going through something difficult. They won't even know. That's Sabr Jameel. So you have this vulnerability, these tears, this desperation with Allah, and not just with anybody. You might have people in your life, they love talking to you about their problems. You can't talk to you, I'm going through something. And as soon as they're done hanging up with you, they call their cousin and go through all of it again. They got the rehearsed speech. And then they call somebody else and somebody else and somebody else and somebody else. They have this like a trauma dumping, You have trauma you want to dump? Who should you dump it on? إنما أشكو بثي وحزني. That's Sabr Jameel. That's Sabr Jameel. It's as if Allah is telling His Messenger, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you're going to stand in front of me all night and pray. Come talk to me about what you're going through. Pray to me. Converse with me. I'll give you the strength. Fasbir sabran jamila is really powerful words. Really powerful words. And so important in our day and age. Because we really have replaced speaking with Allah with speaking with people. Again, I'm not saying you shouldn't speak with anyone if you're going through something tough. But if you turn that into an entire personality, and that's all you're doing, it's not going to help. It's just not going to help. So الصبر الجميل ما أخرجه الحكيم الترمذي في نوادر الأصول عن ابن عباس ما لا شكوى فيه إلى أحد غير الله تعالى. Ibn Abbas is saying there's no complaint except to Allah. And then أخرج عن عبد الله الأعلى بن الحجاج أنه ما يكون معه صاحب المصيبة في القوم بحيث لا يدرى من هو. The person going through a difficulty is among a people and nobody knows which one is it that's going through difficulty. They can take it like that. They're demonstrating sabrun jameel. They're covering. They're able to take it. And it's not just you're pretending. I'm not saying fake it till you make it either. That's not what I'm talking about. Sabr jameel means you've learned to embrace your difficulty and you've learned to embrace it with ihsan, so that you now don't find, you find that facing it is actually an honor Allah has given you. You wear it like a badge. Like, this is what Allah has given me and I'll take it. I'll accept this challenge, And so it's a different mindset altogether.
Hey guys, you just watched a small clip of me explaining the Quran in depth as part of the Deeper Look series. Studying the Quran in depth can seem like a really intimidating thing that's only meant for scholars. Our job at Bayyinah is to make deeper study of the Quran accessible and easy for all of you. So take us up on that challenge. Join us for this study, the Deeper Look of the Quran, for this surah and many other surahs on bayyinahtv.com under the Deeper Look section.